Citizen Brick had their first convention collaboration with Event for San Diego Comic-Con this summer, and more recently, they teamed up again for 3 brand new figures for New York Comic-Con, which just occurred in the last couple weeks. And today, we're going to be taking a look at the 3 new figures, being the fake Louis Vuitton guy, the Pizza Rat, and last but not least, the Times Square Elmo. Plus, they re-released the Stash Box samplers again for the first time since last year when they had them in their Halloween release. And I'm excited to take a look at all 3 of these figures, and of course, taking a look at these stash boxes again. Let's get on into it. I was able to pick up one of their stash boxes last year, and you can see putting the new one right next to it. They're the exact same label and all that. Last year's, it really felt like it was bottom of the barrel stuff, whatever they had left over from conventions, nothing super special. For me, I did get some fun headgear. Not all the parts in here were from the original stash box. If you want to see what I did get, check out the video there. So for people that went to conventions, it's not going to be the most exciting thing based on the original release. But if you missed out on some of the stash boxes at the conventions, it was a nice little offering to get some interesting parts. And with that being said, I am interested to see what are in the 2 brand new ones I got here. I haven't opened these yet, so for the first time on camera, let's check them out. It looks like a big Kool-Aid Man head. I do have some of these from Brickworld already, but I do really like this part and could use it for trading more than likely. And of course, just some other parts. I'll lay these out so they're a little bit easier to take a look at. I'll definitely say that this is a much better offering compared to last year. I'm seeing a lot of very fun parts, like the zombie legs in both stash boxes that I got, plus cool neutral head, double neutral head, and I'm very excited about this head. It is like a hillbilly type of guy. They had those released for Brick Fair, which is a convention that I did not get to attend. Having these zombie misprinted legs is also very fun. I do have a couple of their standard colors, but this gives me more options. These red ones are going to be great for the Thriller jacket. Probably show off a fig barf of that later on. Plus for me, this hot torso is from one of their Christmas ornaments. I skipped out on getting one of these torsos at Brickworld and I kind of regretted it, so it's nice to get one now. CB guitar, which is a great value. I think those are like $10, so if you pay $25 for each one, 10 out of the 25 right there. Overall though, with just looking at base value, big heads and then modified heads, those are both $5 each, so that's 10. I think heads are like $3.50, so for $13.50. 20, and then again 2 heads, so pretty much just $27 there of just the figure parts, but you also get a molded cowbell and a molded candy cane, so those are both going to be pretty valuable, pretty hard to get, so that one is worth it easily. Again, you have I think like $6, 12, 17, and then the guitar is like $10, 27 there again. So both of these are worth more than the $25 price tag. And I definitely can say for me, this is definitely going to be worth it. You know, I do have this head already, so that's a bit of a bummer. But for the general consumer that doesn't get to go to conventions, this is going to be a great option for you to pick up some cool parts and some fun offerings that haven't been on the website. Just something I'm noticing is that I have one of these like bandaged heads in both of these stash boxes. It's kind of a bummer to get a duplicate like that, and I'm not much of a military collector, so now I'll have to figure out different ways to use those. And with those stash boxes out of the way, let's get into the main attraction, being the figures. All 3 of the figures feature the same typical red Citizen Brick packaging here. A little bit of jokes and comments about their products. The corner has the name, for this one obviously Pizza Rat. All these figures are pad printed on official Lego parts and use that same printing style as Lego. On the back, some more write-ups, citizenbrick.com, all the social media accounts that they have. And one of the bummers of this style of packaging is you got to rip off the plastic here to get the figure out. So that might bother some people, but for me as somebody that just reviews these, not a big deal. And without further ado, let's get the Pizza Rat on the stand. And, you know, again, starting out with that Pizza Rat, I think this is one of those figures that makes the most sense for a convention in New York, but might be the most boring out of the 3. No printing on the back at all. It does use the Lego molded mouse head there. Looks like I might even have some printing rubbing off on the ear, but that probably is just from the Lego production. The best part about this is going to be that New York style pizza there where it's nice and large. And it would be great to get this with different toppings. So Citizen Brick always like adds olives and all that, which I'm not sure how many people actually like olives on pizza, but sure. It's nice to get this on a larger piece too. Most Lego pizzas are just on the 2x2 round tile, so getting the 3x3 here is great. Getting out of the way to see the print better. Just says I Pizza New York, but obviously it's supposed to be I Love New York. New head print there with a nice mustache. You could probably use this for Iron Man if you really wanted to, especially like a 70s version of the character. On the legs, just some nice fur and pink toes, which is a little bit unsettling. I feel like a lot of people do white toes there to be the claws. So that's definitely a choice. I think these legs could be used for Fozzie Bear pretty easily if you wanted to swap these out. But it is a pretty simple figure. Like I said, best part's going to be that pizza. But I think this head could also be fun to play around with. So without that being said, let's jump into the next figure. And I guess we'll do the fake Louis Vuitton. I'll definitely say that this is probably the best figure technically, with all the different printing on all the different sides. Really only missing that side torso printing, which is something that Citizen Brick doesn't do, and I don't mind not getting it. But you can see it even has all of that back leg printing, which is pretty unseen for Citizen Brick if they ever do anything like that. It really is just usually the shoe printing at the bottom, but having all those different shapes all over the place is a very cool effect, and really ties together what they're going for with this just being a decorated purse guy, basically. Loving the smile. It does have some black outline around the darker tan, which is nice. And I'm really liking the dark tan overall. I think it is a nice contrast to the dark brown body. And even having some metallic gold for like the buttons. Having a hard time looking at it right now, what color all the logos and symbols are. If that is also a dark tan of some sort, or if it is supposed to be metallic. Not seeing a lot of shine from it though. It seems like mostly just the eyes and the buttons and belt there. But I do think that these colors here are great for leather, so working very well to get the design that they're going for. I think this is going to be a pretty popular figure just because of the level of printing, but also just the far out design and being tied to like a name brand of some sort. I think collectors of Citizen Brick, but also just hype collectors are going to enjoy this one. Outside of this figure, though, it might be a little bit harder to figure out something to do with this. I have been seeing people point out that the legs are going to be pretty easy to utilize for other things, but getting to the arms and torso and even the head, it's really only going to work for this figure, which for me is just somebody that collects Citizen Brick. Great, I have this figure to add to the shelf in some way, but for some people, they want to get creative with this, and it might be a little bit harder. I guess you could take the head off and the arms off and just have this on a shelf in a store and just have it as a purse. So that's an option there. But great looking figure. Happy to get this one. Now let's move on to the last figure here. And this will probably end up being the most controversial figure that was released for this wave, just because of what people were calling in the chat Elmogate, where they listed like 230 at once and then forgot about 70 until a couple minutes later, and people just weren't paying attention and missed out on them. Which is too bad because I think this is the most fun and cool figure that they did. Very thematic of New York. Being in Times Square, you see all the weird costume guys that try and get pictures with you. And they included a nice New York fanny pack here so they can shove the money in. That's just a molded part by Citizen Brick. It just goes over the legs so you can easily slide it off. Just go back to having the creepy Elmo costume here with the zipper in the front. I feel like the zipper in the back might actually be more accurate, but I guess that would make this a bit more unsettling. And just looking at the printing, it looks like you could probably just flip it over if you really wanted to, swap the arms and then have this on the front, this on the back, which is nice. It's nice that they didn't make the front too weird that it can only be used in one way. I think this is a great use of the big head here. They've been doing a lot of really fun things with this, especially for some of those leftover sale figures that came out at Brick Fair. I know Joe kind of mentioned it in his Big Bad Fig podcast episodes where he wanted to move more into these molded heads just because it makes it easier for them to actually print parts, since they can actually make them and do whatever they want with them instead of having to source actual Lego pieces. They do use the same Lego plastic, just melting it down, putting it in the injection machine, so it's not like it's out of the realm of Lego. It's still the same color, as you can see here, blends perfectly. And with their printing being pad, it is very easy to blend it in. Plus, for a figure like this, it's the small little details like the little bit of fur on the legs that they didn't have to add on, but they did just to go a little bit above and beyond to make the best Times Square Elmo minifigure probably ever. And I'm very glad to finally have one of these in hand. I've been waiting a couple weeks, and all three of these are really great offerings and very unique, something that Citizen Brick probably wouldn't have done if they hadn't partnered up with Evend. So you might think it's not great having convention exclusives like this, but if he's getting paid a lot of money to make really fun figures like this, I'm cool with it. So now that all the figure reviews are out of the way, let's go to the comparisons and the final verdict. Exclusives will always be a touchy subject, and there's probably no perfect way to distribute something like this. It probably is mostly a business tactic for Citizen Brick where they're able to release figures, get some money, and you know what? I feel like the Whatnot stream was a pretty fair way to get some figures. Obviously, if you're not familiar with the app, it might be a little bit harder for you to pick up on and be successful at, but the way that they did it on eBay just didn't really work for the convention enthusiast, where some of the figures got listed ahead of time, so the true amount wasn't available to the public when it was supposed to. And when they did it on Whatnot, each figure had an individual listing, so it is a lot harder to buy 10 at once. Plus, you know what, getting the stash boxes was nice. You can see I threw on the head there onto the Elmo. I think that fits pretty well. And that zombie leg there on my Michael Jackson Thriller figure looks great too. And I think all three of these new convention exclusives are very fun, very unique. And like I said, no one else would do something like this. I think the Elmo and the mouse kind of have some of the more useful parts. That pizza piece is going to be great. And then just having a nice red zipper jumpsuit is going to be usable elsewhere. Plus, really cool fanny pack and a very fun head. Well, it has the most details, and on a technical level, it's probably the best figure. The Louis Vuitton figure is probably my least favorite. I don't know. It does have great detailing. The pizza rat is a little bit bland, but I do like the theming there. I think it's very fun and has a very useful accessory. When you get to this figure, it just has cool printing. That's kind of where it stops for me. It is a cool concept. I get it, but not my favorite. I still think the convention enthusiast is probably my favorite overall, just because it is fun to get a superhero Citizen Brick figure. But that Elmo figure is also really fun. It's hard to pick. I love them all. And again, you know what? It's great to be getting something kind of unique. I feel like it's pretty healthy for a community like this based around collecting to have some stuff that's a little bit rarer and makes your collection feel a little bit more exclusive, whether it is an actual like in-person convention exclusive, like this Brick World figure here that they made a couple years ago, or these more online event ones. Maybe it's a bit of an addiction, but there's that little bit of rush every time you're trying to get something that is smaller in quantity, harder to get. So for me as a collector, I love that. And I'm always going to try and get some of these more exclusive convention figures if I can, like the prison figure here from Brick Fair. And honestly, when they are doing these releases a little bit more online, like they have been recently, it's not out of reach to get these. You just need to be in the right place at the right time. If you want to see more Citizen Brick reviews or any other custom LEGO video reviews, check out all the other videos on my channel. I've been Brick Radiop. I'll see you in the next video.